So, hi everybody. I'm Paula or Paula, as I would say back home. Every time I talk English, I just say Paula. I don't know why. Uh, I'm actually originally from Spain, from Madrid. I came here 8 years ago with an athletic scholarship to play tennis. And as I was talking to someone before, I came to Tennessee all the way from Madrid, which was a huge culture shock for me. I remember like the first thing whenever I got to Tennessee, it was like, where are the buildings here? You know, because I was the town that I was in, it was called Johnson City, which is like a very small town in Northeast Tennessee, which is beautiful, by the way. It's surrounded by mountains, you know. But I just couldn't understand how I was in a city and there were no buildings, you know. Like I was like, I don't know where people go here. So I remember things about my first year. In terms of culture shock, well, something that you will get to have to get used to whenever you go to Spain, for example, is the eating times. We're kind of weird because at the beginning I thought we were the normal ones and everybody else was weird. But once I came here and I talk to people here, you know, and talk to more people around the world. We're kind of like, I feel, one of the only ones that we do that, where we have lunch at around 2 or 3 p.m., and that's normal. So if you go at noon, probably nothing is going to be open, and no one is going to serve you, and they're going to look at you weird. Like, I mean, just have a snack. It's not lunchtime yet. We eat dinner around 9 or 10 p.m. If I'm home and I'm meeting friends for dinner, that we would say, oh, let's meet at 10. And at the end, we end up eating close to 11. So by the time you get home, it's like 2 a.m. and you just went for dinner. You know, you didn't really go out. That's something that if you guys go to Spain, I think for like the Americans that I normally talk to, that's one of the things that they always tell me. They're, hey, we tried to go for dinner at 7 and everything was closed. And I'm like, yeah, of course. Because people don't eat dinner at that time. So normally the way to survive is that if you wake up early, because normally we wake up a little bit later too. So if you wake up earlier, normally what we do is have 5 like snacks or like meals during the day. So with breakfast, and then we have something to eat in the middle of the morning around like noon, something like that, or like 11 noon. What would be lunchtime, right? Then we lunch at 2. Normally our lunches are also a little bit bigger than your guys. You know, like I see here, like you just eat a sandwich or a soup, and that's what that's good. Normally we have like a full meal for lunch, and then around 5 p.m. we normally eat another snack, and then so you won't be hungry until 9, where you would eat another meal, and normally we try to make that one a little smaller. So we kind of like reverse what you guys do here. So I think that's one of the things where like I had to get used to. Plus I was in a tennis team and we were traveling all over the place, and all of my teammates were like, let's go to dinner, and it was like 5 p.m. and I'm like, people, I cannot eat dinner at that time. Like at 10 I was hungry again. I couldn't do it. So that's something that it was kind of like a culture shock for me. Something else in terms of what was her name again? Tylee. Tylee was saying about the freshness of the food. I kind of struggle with that at the beginning a bit. I actually have this anecdote that I tell to everyone. That I remember I was playing a tennis match and my coach brought me an apple to the tennis court. So I like beat the apple, and all of a sudden like it was kind of like the color was coming out. Like it was like, like if it was painted, and I'm like, what? I looked at the apple, I'm like, what did you bring me? Like, this is not an apple. And, like, that's some of those things were like, I don't think that in Spain will ever happen. And I actually gained, even though I was in the tennis team and I was like practicing, I don't know how much, like 3 hours a day, I still gained like 5 kilos or something like that. I gained a lot of weight. Whenever I came back home, people like, this is actually another really funny anecdote. My sister was working in this restaurant, and this guy came to us for a job. So that was in December. I talked to him for a while. I came back in May. I talked to the guy again because he had actually been hired, and he didn't recognize me. He was like, so are you the other sister? And I'm like, no, my sister only has one sister. And she's like, no, but the other sister was fat. And I'm like, No, again, it was me. Like, she doesn't have another sister. So I actually gained a lot of weight. But then I managed to take it off. I was like, okay, no more eating out a lot. Just eat at home and cook. So that's something that I think that was one of my biggest culture shocks. What I like most about American or Americans, I think, and this is something that I talk to everybody, is how friendly you guys are in general. Like Tylee was saying, like now I kind of got like a little bit of Americanized. So whenever I go home, I say hi to people in the street, and I'm like, I smile, and people they don't smile back. Like most of the time they look at you like, why are you looking at me smiling? Like, and I think like in general here, from my experiences living here 8 years, I feel like you guys are a little bit more, I don't know if the word is respectful. Like whenever you go to the supermarket back home, I don't know, like if I'm here doing something and someone comes with their cart, if they hit me, they're never gonna say, oh, sorry, Like here, you pass like, half a meter away from them, it's like, oh, excuse me, and you're not even going close to them. And I think that's something, that I kind of like a lot about Americans, and also I also like how you guys, I have experienced this through my years too, that sometimes you meet people that they just want to help you just because, they are just like nice people that want to help you and they're not looking for anything back. Back home, probably you can find those kinds of people, but I feel it's so much harder. So that's something that I appreciate a lot about this country. Because I have found a lot of those people. And whenever I tell my dad, he doesn't believe me. He's like, no, but for sure they're gonna, and I'm like, no, they didn't really, like, they just helped me, so that's something that I really, really liked a lot. What I like the least, I don't know, probably the food, I'm sorry. I miss food back home. I think, 8 years living here, and that's what I miss the most. I just miss being able to buy fish, fresh fish, and I don't know, going out and not having either a hamburger or a salad or a sandwich, just have something else. So I do miss that. I think it's also because I've always lived in smaller towns. Whenever you go to Chicago or like bigger cities, you can eat whatever, but here I think like you're a little bit more restricted. So I think that's one of the things that I like the least. And if I had to give you guys any advice to people, how many of you are thinking of going to Spain to study abroad? Cool. Oh, that's a lot. Awesome. So for any advice, like I said, with the food or like the times, just try to get used to it. For me, my best advice is to make sure that you're eating those snacks in the middle of the day, because if not, you will starve. I mean, it's way too long. Also, take advantage of the food while you're there. I think, like a lot of people, I have met some people that, and that's something that I have learned about myself by studying abroad and living in another country that is not my own, is that my mind has opened a lot in terms of like a lot of different things, not only food, but a little bit of everything, like talking to different people and meeting different people, and like knowing that, like I said before I thought that we were normal, because we eat at those hours, and now I realize that we are the weird ones, So that's something that I think I've learned, that not just what you do or what your family does is the right thing, but there are like different views about different things, and learning how to appreciate that, I think it's great. And it has happened to me where like people have come back, like, I won't put any examples, but people from Tennessee, they were like, oh, I was in Barcelona. Oh, what a nightmare. I ate there like in McDonald's like 5 days out of the 6 that I was there. And I was like, why would you do that? I mean, are you kidding? You're there, just eat different food. I mean, if you don't like fish, then eat something else. But, like, I don't know, for me, that would be a waste of experiencing something different, even if you don't like it. You might go there, try something and don't like it. Well, you can say that you tried it and you didn't like it. But I think that's one. Traveling and places to visit there in Spain, I really think I might be biased because I'm from there. But I think, even though I'm not proud of a lot of things that we do in terms of like the government or like different things, I am proud of the country. I love everywhere that I've been in Spain is beautiful. You know, I'm from Madrid and it's beautiful. I've been to Barcelona. Pretty much I've been everywhere in Spain. And no matter where you go, you always find something to do, you know. These girls are from País Vasco. It's beautiful there. I love Bilbao whenever I was there. I haven't really visited much of anywhere in the País Vasco, but I fell in love with Bilbao whenever I was there. Galicia is beautiful. I think that's one of the places that maybe a lot of people don't go, and it's super nice. I mean, it's unbelievable, and the food there is, if you like seafood, I recommend that 100%. And then, in terms of language barriers, like Tylee said, just try to speak the language, you know, because it's the best opportunity that you're gonna have. Whenever I first came, I barely could speak any English. I couldn't understand anything. I would get red whenever people, you know, because I would go and do things with local people too. Please do. I mean, that's one of the things I did whenever I came here. I tried to surround myself by people that didn't speak speak my language, that didn't speak Spanish. And sometimes I would get really nervous whenever they talked to me and I wouldn't understand, but that's the way that you learn. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
How would you compare the cities in Spain
I think they're quite different in terms of, I feel like cities here, they all look at the end, like they all look kind of like similar, you know, whenever you're driving by a big city, it's like all of the big buildings that you see, and then that's the downtown and that's it, you know, like Spain, you know, it's also like the cities are much older. So everywhere that you go, you're gonna have the main plaza to go and see, you know, which we call Plaza Mayor. You're gonna be able to go see the cathedral, you know. Then there are, you know, there are a lot of also of like, I feel, and that's one of the things that we have in terms of like gastronomy and food, you know, there are a lot of local places, you know, that you're not gonna find some kind of chain anywhere else. We have chains too, but you're gonna see that you're gonna find a lot of that. I don't know if you guys agree with me or not, but like that's one of the things when my sister and I, you know, when my parents visit somewhere in Spain, any different city, in each city that you go in Spain, they have something very particular and local to where you're visiting. You know, that's like the typical food to eat. And I remember like we were visiting in Switzerland. My sister lives in Switzerland now, and we were visiting there, and it's beautiful. And my sister's like, don't you miss, you know, like going somewhere and just like eat something delicious from like that place that is just pertinent to that city? And I'm like, yes, I do, you know? So I think that's something that I think it really is very particular to Spain. So I think that would be like one of the differences that I would mark. Any other questions?
Is it true that you guys have like a nap time?
Funny that you asked that. Okay, so we do, but we don't. I mean, it's one of those things where like every person that I meet always asks me that. Normally, if you work in a regular office, like let's say whatever, like anywhere downtown Madrid, and you work for a company, you are not gonna have nap time. That doesn't exist. But if you have your own business, normally business, like smaller businesses, work with the nap time hour. So they will be open again, and that goes with also with our lunch times and dinner times. So normally they will open from like 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. 2 p.m. they close to go to lunch, and they'll open again at 5. So that's something that you have to get used to. Me, I have already not gotten used, you know, I kind of like lost that. So whenever I go home, like, okay, I'm gonna go by, and I'm like, it's closed. Why do they close? You know? And also places close at 9. They close at 9 p.m. You know, you will find some places that are still open, like in terms of like grocery stores and stuff, but a lot of them will close. You have to look for the specific one that will stay open. So I think that's also an adjustment that you will have to make depending on how, you know, you do grocery shopping here and stuff like that. And Sundays, yes. Places close on Sundays. So Madrid, I think like in downtown, probably they'll stay open. Yeah, I think they do. Yeah, yeah. So that's something that you have to get used to too.
I used to have two friends from Spain, and the first time when I interact with them, looks like when they talk among themselves, it's like fighting because they're talking so loudly and so expressive. Is it always like that?
We are pretty loud, and we are very spread, as you can see by me. I mean, I don't need a mic. That's what everybody always tells me. But yeah, that's something that I think like whenever you go to a restaurant, you will see. I mean, you go to a restaurant and all of a sudden it's like everybody's talking loud and you're trying to talk louder so people in your table can hear you. So at the end, it kind of like gets pretty loud. It depends on where, obviously, which restaurant you go. But normally, if you go to like a regular bar that we hang out to, that we eat tapas and stuff, the surroundings are pretty loud. I think that's something that you also will have to get used. Like that's something that I have never really thought, but yeah, that's something that you have to get used to. Because I think we are louder than they are here. That's actually a really funny thing too. Like whenever I came here, I used to, like in my other school, I did, my undergrad was marketing and management. So I used to be in the College of Business all the time, not here, but in Tennessee. And my roommate was from Venezuela. And then another friend that was there too was from Spain. And everybody knew in the College of Business when we got there because we would be like yelling at each other, laughing, and and everybody like you could see the professors coming out of their door like, shh, because we were really loud. So I think you're right with that one. Any other questions?